up. I'll show you.
Andrew.
The left has killed 2 times as many people. According to the CSIS, the one that you're referencing, the left-wing terrorism is at its worst in 30 years. Yeah. According to the CSIS.
Are you talking about the little bar at the end where the left-wing terrorism has gone up by a little compared to the previous year, and then the right-wing bar
is cherry-picking.
He's
cherry-picking.
Yeah, you're looking at the very last year that's not complete. Is that how we're going to do
I just told you that according to Cato, the left's killed 2 times as many since Trump's election.
In the year since Trump's election, so you're only going to selectively look at 8 months, just to be clear. So, to be clear, if your argument
when
is
the violence has, you mean when the violence has exploded?
In the past 7 months, exclusively, and we only look at that. Sure. Okay.
Okay. Hang on. Wait a second. Wait a second. When was it that the left became completely mobilized towards violence? Was it under fucking Biden or was it under somebody else? Soy? Who else? Who? Oh yeah, like you mean under Trump when they did mass protests before against Trump, and now we see the cycle repeating again under Trump. The most critical term of showing
this. Able to look at the you're like, okay, I'll use the stats, but only if I can pick out this very last bar of this last year, which I'll agree with. I'm saying, yeah, actually, this is true. I'm not contesting this study.
Good.
I'm agreeing. The left is more violent in 2025, according to the study, in the very last year. Now, if we're talking about that, I don't know which debate you signed up for, but I signed up for as a totality.
Okay, hang on.
This is graph.
This is perfect. Actually, this is perfect. This is perfect.
It's pretty funny to look at this and say, "Oh, yep, this is definitely a left-wing."
This is perfect. And hang on. Let us finish our exchange. Are you
saying? Yo, shut up, bro.
This is the funny
thing. This Vince guy is trying to just shut up there. Let them have the back and forth.
Girl, never let us finish an exchange. Go ahead. Go ahead, Vince. I'm sure whatever you're about to say is important. Go ahead.
Here we go. So now that you're so the issue here is that you're pointing to this, but I remember when Trump was in office the first time, and we do have.
I don't know. I can't even understand the guy. So anyway, back to you, Soy Pill.
I'm sorry, my internet's garbage.
It is garbage. You know what? I'm gonna hang on, Vince. I can actually help you with this. If you have mobile hotspot, turn your mobile hotspot on and shut off your internet. Turn your mobile hotspot on. So anyway, back to this, Soy Pill. Actually, now we're getting somewhere. So this is actually great. So you made the concession. You agree. Left-wing violence under Trump.
It's an agreement of objective reality.
Again. So
by the way, for the past hour,
am I allowed to fucking talk?
But now that you're looking at the last year, you're like, yep, it's true. So no, it's not.
Okay. So anyway, I'll try to finish the point because you know you're about to get fucked here. So thing is on the CSIS, if you make the concession that it is the case that under Trump, left-wing violence is much higher, killed 2 times.
Not only that, it's just, this is how Zoom is, man. Is sometimes when you're talking, you cannot hear whether or not they're talking, you know what I'm saying?
As many people, you agree with all of this, you're making the concession there. The thing that's really funny is this is why I want to go through the methodology. Because if you make the concession that the left is far more violent right now, and I agree with you, all that's left is whether or not the left has been violent this entire time, which is why we need to go through the methodology of the rest of the study. You see how that works? Because if I can demonstrate in the rest of the study, you're classifying things wrong, but we can agree the left is more violent now, we've won the fucking debate, Soy.
To be clear, no, because the debate is not. Is the left wing more violent in the current year? Is the who is more responsible?
Can you even repeat back what I just said to you?
Second of all,
can you even repeat back what I just said?
If you want to start on the axiom that we can concede that both of us agreed with this study for this one particular year, but then we have to go back and meticulously pick it apart for all the other years. No, absolutely not.
Why not?
You're either accepting of the study or you're not.
What? Wait, what? I'm either accepting of the study or not.
If you agree with this study's methodology, then okay, I accept that you agree with this methodology, and then we can look and see that the right wing is overwhelmingly responsible for political violence as a whole for most of human history, or not human history.
What?
But no, yeah. Excuse me, that was
so let me get the
history of the study.
I understand. I'm not going to be a pedant, but let me just help me out here. If I had a study that said,
and then go through the
so if I had if I had a study and the study said that 100% of people who eat dog shit don't like how it tastes, right? But 20% of white people or black people like how it tastes more than Mexican people. Can we agree that both of us could look at the methodology of that study and agree 100% of people don't like eating dog shit? We've now agreed. But we could have great differences on the methodology for how we came to that 20% number. Do you agree that that's true?
I agree that that's true.
Okay,
yes.
so
But
then hang
why
on,
are you saying
hang
that
on,
it's
bro.
concession
I'm
in the
trying to
last year if you
explain,
don't
trying to
necessarily give
explain,
methodology?
trying to explain. So when we go through the methodology of the classification, my concern there would be actually that it's discounted and it's even higher than they're claiming. But I'm willing to concede the point even on the CSIS on the end. If you are, we can go through the classifications for all of these other years. And boy, if it turns out that they're not classifying these things correctly, then we can do some type of rough calculation to see which one of us is, or which side is actually conducting the most amount of political violence. And if it's the case in modernity, yeah, go ahead.
Last year, because it is a methodology you agree with, because any of the things that are demonstrated are true, it just happens to show that you're right. So if it showed the opposite, you would immediately discredit it. So why even call it a
What are you talking about? That has nothing to do with what I just said. Can you repeat back to me? Can you repeat back to me my position?
You said I could concede on this point, but I actually think it's wrong. It just happened to be right in the correct way that I already agreed with.
So then let's go through the study. Then,
so why even bother pointing out that last year whatsoever?
Wait, didn't I give you a qualifier? What was my qualifier? That I actually think that left-wing violence, even this year classified, is higher. But I would be willing to concede the point at least that in this year it's higher if you do. But we do need to go through the rest of it for the purpose of classification to make a determination if you agree with these classifications. Both of you are unwilling to do it because you don't believe the classifications. You don't believe them.
No, let's go. All right, we can do it, but I promise you by the end of this, you're going to say, well, because the classifications aren't the way I would do it, and I haven't done a comprehensive
I want to make sure that the classifications are how you would do it.
What I believe is true. Therefore, I discredit the study. I have no other option to show that the left wing is more violent. I just feel it's true because I've seen more of it, and that's the end of the debate. It's going to be a huge waste of time, but let's do it. Let's go through it.
Yeah, and I want to mention this too, Soy Pill, before we jump into this. Andrew, in his opening statement, said all the claims will hinge on studies. Soy Pill will likely tell you the truth. And then and he'll bring up all these studies. He's saying all the claims will hinge on the studies. He's dragging us into talk about these particular studies.
The things that your arguments hinge on? The things that your argument hinge on.
So the only person here that wants to talk about these studies is Andrew.
The only person here who wants to talk about your evidence is Andrew. That's crazy. It's almost like we're in a debate. It's almost like we're in a debate or something, Vince.
The whole study, and then get to the part where Andrew says, never mind, I don't like it, because I think it's going to be boring.
No.
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, well, let's just try it this way. If you don't want to go through it, maybe we can just try it this way, Soy. Would you agree with me? Would you agree with me that there's going to be problems in the methodology of classification that you likely aren't going to agree with in that study? Yes or no?
I think every study is going to have at least something that I would say, I'm not sure about that, but I would still use it.
He didn't answer the question. You see?
I think every study is going to have at least something that I would say, I'm not sure about that, but I would still use it as an aggregate and showing what is happening, unless there was something major. For example,
why would you do that? That's insane.
Well, listen, Andrew, because I want to give you this. This is a concession, all right? If this study, and this doesn't do this, but if this study said right-wing violence includes something like Wahhabist Islamic terror attacks, even though that I would acknowledge why they might say that, because it's like, oh, well, because you can classify this as right.
I bet you it does, actually. I bet you it does include Muslim terror attacks. I bet you anything.
It actually has an entire other classification for this, if you read it, that is religious extremism that is not left or right, and there's a good reason for that.
Except in that case,
all 3,000 people that died
except in that CS
right-wing violence. That would be ridiculous.
Actually, I believe in the CSIS, the way that they come up with right-wing affiliation is through religion. Just so you know,
there are parts of religious extremism that can be classified in the study if you read it, but not just.
Let's go through. Yeah, well, this is why. But this is here's the
Christian nationalist terrorist attack, like with Dylan Roof, would be a right-wing extremist, but the fucking 9/11 attacks wouldn't be, and that's why I'm saying if there was.
Bro, this guy just filibustering right now. That's crazy.
It's a methodology that extreme that said, yep, right wing includes 9/11. Yeah, I would say that's an incredibly flawed study that we can't take seriously. I don't think that exists in here, but if you want to point...
Have you read it? Have you read that study? The Truth?
CSIS. I haven't read it word for word, but I have.
And what does that mean, though? Like, how much of it have you read? How much? The Truth.
Well, like 10 pages. So I read,
come on, dude. Like, here's the thing, man. It's like... This is where the disconnect is. How are we supposed to even have a good faith debate over which side is conducting the most amount of violence. If it's the case that the thing which you're banking on, which is evidence from these organizations, you haven't even read the very studies that you're banking on to show your position.
About it were the methodology, how they classified the different types of violence, and specifically looked out for major egregious.
You should bitch about it. You haven't read it. You haven't read it.
The one I just mentioned. Those are the things I did read through. Something I didn't read through would be, for
not in 10 pages. You didn't. You lying sack of shit. You didn't read through it in 10 pages. You read through the methodology in 10 pages.
What?
You just said you read through the methodology in 10 fucking pages, dude. Give me a fucking break.
The entire thing is 10 pages. I'm not. If there's a more in-depth version of this study, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the domestic terrorism brief that has been released that describes the methodology, the classifications, that shows the graphs.
Link it over. Let's take a look at it.
This is my problem with debates like these, where you introduce a study and you use that as your key point of evidence, because we really haven't seen many evidence coming from our opponents other than this study. And all this study shows is look at this number. Look at this number here. I'm almost finished with my point. Look at this number here. Oh, look, my study shows this number. Let's not look into the number. The number is just what it says. No matter what the classifications are, the methodology, no matter what the situation is. Well, okay, so here's my proposition. When we're analyzing which party is more responsible, we have to see the ideological backing and the influence that the party has had over the actions and mental states that cause these people to commit these violent acts. And we should also look at the impact that they have had. And when you look throughout history, modern history, the largest scope and scale of political violence has occurred from the left. Your presidents aren't being shot at. Your influencers aren't being shot at. You don't have conservative college campuses that are throwing riots and protests.
Wait, by your own metrics, anti-Biden protests. People that tried to shoot Trump as having downstream messages disseminated by Democratic politicians, for example, Thomas Crooks, which I still don't know if we've
donated to Act Blue. He donated to Act Blue.
Did he not also?
Where did that show the rhetoric?
Party and or vote for them? Can you show that the rhetoric is contributed to this? He also had plans to shoot Joe Biden. I don't know if you knew about that, but
this dude, bro. Who planned to shoot Joe Biden, man? I mean, probably there was one word that they tried, but the fact that they can't even concede that multiple times the current president of the United States was targeted to be deleted. Even one of the most important prominent right-wing figure got deleted. Multiple times that people go to these campuses, university campuses, are threatened to be deleted. No way you can get to this point and not concede. At this point, it's just, I don't know, clicks, I guess.
The whole point is
I can tell you the Charlie Kirk assassin etched in.
Well, hold on. Do you see? Okay, you just moved off the point completely, John. Please, answer the question. Because
I think when you donate to Act Blue, that's a
show how the ideology is influencing this. But if you're going to point to something like, hey, our presidents got shot at, it's like, okay, how is this happening? For example, if it was a Ukrainian person, I think there's someone pro-Ukrainian person was the one waiting for him on the golf course. I think there's a much closer connection that you could draw there, showing, hey, Trump doesn't care about Ukraine, he's a Russian puppet, blah, blah, blah. You could make a good argument there. But the Thomas Crooks one, I just don't see how that is somehow coming down.
The argument is based off of the existence of the shootings, or rather than the non-existence of the shootings on the left. We have our people who are being shot and killed. He had plans to shoot Joe Biden, so by that same logic, you could say that. Okay. Yeah, your people aren't being shot and killed. You have all these slogans that are etched into the bullet that killed Charlie Kirk. You have Destiny, who's not condemning the killing of Charlie Kirk. You have the guy who donated to Act Blue, who shot Donald Trump. I don't see Joe Biden being shot at. I don't see Kamala Harris being shot at.
Ignoring that guy that you were talking about who tried to shoot Donald Trump and missed and died was also planning to shoot Joe Biden, if you're going to keep bringing up that example. But again, if you're going to keep bringing up these
this is fucking crazy, dude.
This is crazy, man. I agree.
Specifically, I don't know if these three things, by the way, were especially not the ones that didn't
he got targeted multiple times. No, I think 6 or 7 times. But the first time that he ran for president, he got targeted 3 or 4 times.
But the ones that happened this year, as per this study, if they're classified as left-wing violence, are included and are showing that there is more left-wing death this year specifically. That's just true. That's based on the study. So if you want to stop there for some reason, we can just talk about 2025. But ultimately, we're looking at the totality, and you claim
we don't want to just stop there.
because of the Nazism, and yet all these people were calling Trump Hitler fascist back in 2016. J.D. Vance was even doing it, and somehow this wasn't happening nearly to the same degree, and the right wing was much, much higher in those years. Why is this somehow now different in this year?
The protests were very violent.
Well, because you spent 4 years under Joe Biden saying that you had thwarted a threat to democracy and ousted a Nazi from office, and now he sees power. Now he sees power again, right? Now he sees power.
You're very much missing.
What do you mean, Crimson King?
The point of my statement. The point of my statement was to look at the scale and scope and impact of the things. The right has suffered more significant losses, damages, and impact that has been perpetuated by those with close ties to the left. And so, like, I didn't just cite the shootings of Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk. That's why I also cited the riots, which again caused over $2 billion of damages. You had dozens of people killed. You have officers who are damaged.
Because you'd have to show that every single
Black Lives Matter was not fundamental to liberal ideology.
Directly tied to BLM and trying to do a political movement, and not a bunch of rioters doing stuff to do fucking rioting for no reason. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that none of this was because of BLM ideology. There were plenty of people that were like, I think specifically, if you look at the police station burning down, that's probably political violence. I doubt those people were just burning random fucking.
Okay, what do you think about the Minnesota Freedom?
No, man, they just wanted to loot the vending machines, bro. They just wanted to loot the vending machines, you know.
In the police.
What do you think about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talking about social justice when all these Antifa and BLM riots are going on? Like, what does that say?
So I've got a few statements from Kamala Harris. For example, by the way, so when that whole incident happened with the attempt on Trump's life, Kamala Harris said, "I'm deeply disturbed by the possible assassination to perform President Trump today. As we gather the facts, I will be clear. I condemn political violence. We all must do our part to ensure that this incident does not lead to more violence." Now, we already know Andrew Wilson has already said that these are dog whistles. So I'm sure that this won't be satisfactory. But there was also when she made a statement regarding the Charlie Kirk incident. She said, "Let me be clear. Political violence has no place in America. I condemn this act, and we all must work together to ensure this does not lead to more violence." So again, when we talk about the Charlie Kirk incident, we talk about President Trump, we could talk about, I think there were...
No,
I could look for
bro, they still right here, Vince. He's not... I don't know, man. I don't know what's up with this dude, man.
Yeah, I'm working as best as I can with what I got. So excuse me if the internet goes out.
It's better. I mean, it's better than it was. The thing is like the only frustrating thing is you know, I want to hear what you're saying, and you cut.
No,
you cut in and out. So
you should type out every statement before you say it. So as soon as you cut out,
no. So there's several different. Different bits of the where you see Kamala Harris and numerous other high-ranking profile Democrats again condemning these things.
Yeah, so Andrew Wilson did talk about the dog whistles. I do think there's a lot of that involved, but it's not just the dog whistles, right? You also are responsible for the climate that you create that causes these things. The difference between Democrats and Republicans is that when George Floyd died, you caused all these riots. When Charlie Kirk died, we hosted prayer vigils and that called for peace.
Yeah, because ultimately you guys have actually nothing to be
accountable. When you have Kamala Harris raising bails for these violent rioters, the Minnesota Freedom Fund, you should look it up. When you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying that we should respect social justice, when you have people standing in front of fires, calling arson and the riots mostly peaceful, and you have all these CNN pundits, MSNBC pundits saying all these things, you're very responsible for the ongoing political climate that causes people to engage in actions of this sort. And I think it's very clear that when we have these cases, you can't just bypass it by saying Kamala Harris condemned it, because Kamala Harris
This guy gave me a 10-page pamphlet that has all the studies linked at the end. I can't wait to shove that right up his ass.
I'm actually curious, like just on that one thing specifically, and this is not a gotcha.
Yeah, correct.
That means it's a gotcha, by the way. Don't listen to his bullshit
if
lies.
You show me specifically that she's like saying, here's the bail fund for someone who like committed an illegal act, and like in the same way, I would say I don't think these things are proportional, but they are very similar. That Donald Trump would pardon someone who like did seditious conspiracy.
I've got the tweet.
I think that bailing out. No, I know she retweeted it, but like, I want to know like the crime specifically that these people did. Because if it was like what Vince was talking about in LA, and hey, they got arrested or whatever for not leaving an area, I don't think that is equal to saying that this person is endorsing violence. But if you're paying for the bail of someone who burned down a police car or some shit like that, I could say that there's a okay argument there. I think the problem is here that you're saying, I mean, you said this in your opening, John, that the right always condemns this. The right doesn't participate in this at all. And I just think this is so ridiculous. I mean, to be fair, I know Andrew did say that, yeah, obviously the right's going to be part of some, crazy rhetoric or whatever. But every time we show you an example of a right winger, like, for example, this is a Donald Trump.